And we are live. Good Wednesday evening, everyone. Glad to be here sitting in the state of Georgia, alive and well. Hopefully, everyone is doing okay and as well as you can be. We are still in a pandemic, y'all. It is Wednesday, February the 24th. The year is 2021. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Unapologetic Tea Time with your host, PG. That is me. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, and thank you again. To all of my loyal listeners and subscribers, thank you for being supportive of me and my channel. And to all of my future listeners and subscribers, thank you for stopping by. And hopefully you like what you hear. Tonight's tonight's show topic is when failure is not optional. When failure is not optional. Now, where did that come from? PG, you might ask. I've heard that so many different times, you may say. Yes, you have, and so have I. But in the last few weeks, we have seen many different failures across our great nation. The actual phrase was coined by Mr. Krantz during the failed Apollo 13 mission. They were in the mission and had been in the mission for about 55 or 56 hours, if memory serves me right. And there was an explosion on board the Apollo 13, which jeopardized, one, the mission to the moon, and two, definitely, it jeopardized the lives of the astronauts and crew members that were on board. And as Krantz took lead and asked that they stay focused, and that they do everything possible to save the mission and save themselves as well, and try to he coined the phrase. With that being said, that's how basically we got to where this has been a popular phrase, shall we say, or a popular quote. But at the same time, failing is definitely sometimes the inevitable. Um, we as humans are going to fail, but failure can turn into opportunities to see what we did wrong, to regroup, perhaps recreate or create something different, get help with whatever the necessary need is, and move forward to be or to become successful in that endeavor. Failure definitely was not optional a couple of weeks ago in the state of Texas, and what happened to the constituents or to the citizens of that state. In the state of Texas, who were in charge of, one, the power grid, and who were also in charge of normal everyday facets of life as the folks know it in the state of Texas, the local governments, the state governments, and what have you, the townships and the counties, even national government, it is my opinion that they failed. When you are warned that there is a polar vortex fast approaching and what have you, and like I've always said, and I will continue to say, is the time to prepare for a disaster or the time to prepare for anything that may be looming in the future or very near future is no time like the present. You do not wait till a disaster strikes in order to form a plan and in order to perhaps put the antifreeze in your vehicle, make certain that you have proper adequate heat or cooling if it's the dead of summer or whatever. You have enough food to survive. You have enough water. I have been preaching to the choir. Be prepared. Do what you can to grab the necessary items for when and if there's ever a disaster, or when and if there is something that occurs that's man-made, some sort of protection from cold, heat should ever go out. You would have drinking water and some type of ample supplies and a supply of medications that you normally would take on a daily basis, or whatever it is that you need to have you and your family or whomever you live with or by yourself or whatever, your pets or whatever, so that you all can perhaps survive. It may not be easy, but you would be able to survive. Now, it is very, very sad and very, very um, unnerving that lives were literally lost at the point where people didn't have heat and they froze. People died from asphyxiation. They died from carbon monoxide poisoning. They died from various other things that happened to them because there wasn't adequate shelter, perhaps. There wasn't adequate heat that they needed. Hypothermia set in, different things. And it's very, very sad. Even in the state of Florida, they send out little blurbs and little bulletins and little text messages and blurbs on the TV and what have you about being prepared and what to do in case a hurricane strikes, or what to do to be prepared for a tropical storm or a thunderstorm or flooding or whatever. I have some close friends that live in the state of Texas, 5 to be exact, with their significant others, partners, wives, husbands, children, whatever. And they didn't get any of this. One of them darn near lost their life from hypothermia, but was able to get medical attention fast enough to where it didn't kill them. The others were okay, but they struggled in some things. I had 2 people call and say, had it not been for me listening to your vlog and podcast, and for you not, for you over the years telling us to be prepared, because of hurricanes and what have you, I probably wouldn't have had an ample supply of water, an ample supply of some wood and some things that I could build a fire or whatever when the power went out. I was happy to hear that, because that meant to me someone was paying attention, and it meant also that some people readily available to weather the storm and to survive. But back to when failure is not an option, it was definitely not an option for the government or the governor and the masses of, and let's not talk about Ted fucking Cruz, stupid Ted, to get on national TV and blame this and that and this, that, and the other, and the fourth and the fifth on down the line. It wasn't cool. It was not cool at all. And you see, that's where failure comes into play, and that's when man fails. And I'm going to recite something to you that I was taught a long time ago, and it resonated with me during my college years, this was probably 83, maybe 84 or 85, one of those years. As I remember, it was said, a man can fail at something. No, I mean a person, okay? I'm saying man, but it's woman, child, dropout, it don't matter. Woman, transgender. But at the point they blame someone else is when they become themselves a failure. Okay? I'm going to say it again. I'm going to put it in the notes that I scribbled down, and I've written this in some journals and different things that I kind of keep, on my desk and around me. And sometimes I look back at certain things, or I don't quite remember how something went, or a quote or something that I wrote a long time ago that I heard, or that someone said to me, or I was in a meeting, or I was taking notes from a speech or whatever. But it was written, the way I wrote it was, a man can fail at something many times, but at the point he blames someone else for what he had to do that made something fail is when he himself becomes, at that point, a failure. You see, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail at something you've done. But when you turn around like Ted Cruz, gets on TV and makes it all about himself, like Donald Trump, you remember, used to do before he was X'd out of social media, and he would say, it wasn't me. It was so and so and so. They're the evil person. They did it. I didn't do it. Well, at that point, he becomes the failure, or she becomes the failure, or it becomes the failure. So, yes, Ted Cruz is a failure in my book, not just because of what he did in the past, but what he has done quite recently. And that was take his funky ass and his children, and not even the dog. He left the dog behind, supposedly, allegedly, and goes to Mexico, Cancun, or somewhere to escape. A little bit uncomfortable, but you left behind constituents of yours who voted for you, who probably perished, died, or was severely injured, or went severely without ample food, ample water, or whatever. Basically, to escape because it was a little bit uncomfortable for you. That's what I call a failure. But looking, y'all, at the whole picture, let's put everything together in one big round picture and take the state of Texas and put that over that picture. The local and the state governments failed in that regard because they were not prepared. Now, for as long as I have known friends in Texas, and when they were teenagers, we were teenagers together and what have you, and some of them that was, little bitty itty bitty kids are still in the womb when I was good and grown, have moved away and moved to Texas and what have you, and we still kind of keep in touch and things. there has own electric system, grid system, and what have you, to be able to skirt around regulations and different things so that they could kind of do what they wanted to do, because you know they do it big in Texas. Well, you damn right they did it big in Texas and come up with some big ass fucking shit. What's going on, Chris? Not a lot. I'm talking about when failure is not an option, even though it's inevitable at times, but it's not always an option. It doesn't have to be that way. And I'm talking about the Texas failure and how government, state and local, fail their constituents and their citizens. But y'all, I want to say that as long as Texas has been independent from other grids, one, they tried to blame it on solar. They tried to blame it on the wind turbines or the windmills. Hell, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that if the wind ain't blowing, then the goddamn windmills are not going to turn. And that means if they're not turning, they're not making energy. Okay? So you can't blame it on that either. But they wanted to blame it on any and everything but what it was. They were unprepared. When you don't winterize or weatherize your equipment, sooner or later, you're destined for a failure. The power goes out, the power grid goes down, whatever. It happens in Louisiana. Shit happens in New York. Shit happens in Georgia. We're bad up here in the state of Georgia. We don't fucking salt the highways and put sand and salt down until fucking most times after the fucking roadways freeze. That's failure, because at then the motherfuckers up here can't drive anyway, most of them. Then they're slipping and sliding all over the fucking place. And then here comes the dump trucks that they done put implements on, which I'd never seen before, and make like little snow plows, and then try to have the prisoners, or then you go and you get all the crew from the road DOT and whomever else, GDOT, walk behind a goddamn truck and shoveling out some damn sand and salt onto 285, 85, and 75, which is crazy as hell to me. If you knew it was going to snow and they said at noon, if the roads are going to start icing up, why in the fuck that you didn't get out there at 6 o'clock in the morning with your crews and stuff and do this before and take those crews off the road, because it's going to get really bad? Same thing in Texas. They knew that the polar vortex, that this storm was going to be bad. Why didn't y'all burn the midnight oil and do some hurry up weatherizing? That you was in the summertime. You see, again, I don't know if I'm losing power. This internet has been a little bit spotty, y'all. So please, please, please bear with me. Comcast knows about it. They were working in the area. I did a little bit of a test and it was okay, but it seems like it's being a little bit spotty from what I can tell. But failure on that part in the state of Texas and the surrounding areas, Louisiana and Mississippi, and on into Alabama, even up into the Tennessee hills, it was crazy. So I say to you guys and gals, boys and girls, don't lose sight of don't lose sight of reality. And tells you, oh, don't even run your water or whatever. No worries. It's going to freeze and it's going to go down to the single digits, but don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. You cannot take everything, what everyone says at face value. Okay, that's just like the preacher gets up into the church in the pulpit and tells you and quotes. Okay, but yet certain that you saw Reverend Ass, I'm gonna call him Reverend Ass, come out the barroom with a lady that was not his wife, but that the lady lives across the street from him, is his neighbor. But he came out the barroom because you was in the same. Yet that Sunday morning, he gets up into the pulpit and tells y'all, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor." Okay, but then he'll tell you, "Do I do?" You have that all politicians and all leaders in government beings, they are men and women first before they are senators. Ordinary men and women first. Preachers are men first. Preachers are or teachers are females first. They're not beyond sinning. They are not perfect. So you have to understand where I'm coming from when I say you cannot take everything that people have to tell you or is trying to tell you at face value all the time, because some people's word is it you could tell everyone. So you always again have to be prepared. Have that extra water, have that extra food source. Have a couple of canned goods under the bed, in the closet somewhere. A couple of more gallons of water in your closet. A couple more gallons of water in the washroom, storage room, whatever. Under the cabinet, under the sink. Literally, you had people's whole bathtubs were iced over. Pipes broke in the ceilings. I saw ceiling fans with icicles hanging down. That was, to be honest. It was terrible. Never lose sight of reality. Far too many times we put our trust in man. We need to trust in ourselves and use good discernment first. A lot of Texans, a lot of Mississippians, a lot of, and I was born and raised in the boot state of Louisiana. A lot of our people got caught up in believing that, oh, they say it's not coming my way. Bam. And what happened? It was your way, on top of you, snowed, iced over, everything. Okay? Just because they say it's so doesn't mean that it is so. All right? I don't care how nice of a picture they may paint it sometimes. You see, God is still God, and God is still in control. Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature needs and wants to do. And control that. But what you can control is what's in your house, when you go to the store, when you buy an extra couple of gallons of water, an extra couple of canned goods, an extra couple of cans of soup, a little quart of firewood you pick up at the 7-Eleven or the Quick Trip or wherever, or HEB Hib or whatever, or Publix or wherever, Winn-Dixie, wherever the hell you shop at, Kroger's, whatever, Albertsons, hell, I don't know, Fiesta Mart, wherever. You can control that. I've told you, if you don't have but $2 extra, you can get you 1 50-cent can of tuna. You You can get you a gallon of water, and you can get you one other canned good or a pack of ramen noodles or 2 or 3. Put it back, because sooner or later a rainy day will come. Some of these people were just out there, couldn't build a fire. They didn't have anything to build a fire with. Some people ran out of fire. You know, I've told y'all to buy a tarp or 2. Take your dining room table, take that son bitch out the dining room where everybody hold. And I know it's coronavirus. Wear your mask or whatever. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, but body heat will spread around. If it's 3 or 4 of y'all or whatever, okay, get under the table, under the tarp. And everybody keep each other warm. It's better than nothing. Put towels and stuff up at the windows and at your doors and stuff. I keep telling y'all, be prepared. Be prepared. Hindsight is 2020. You know, better safe than sorry. But moving right along swiftly and professionally, here's the thing. A way to combat municipality failure, governmental failure at the state, local, and national level, when you feel that they failed you as citizens and constituents of theirs, the way you combat that is by going to the polls and voting them out of office. You see, at that point, you can control, you have to go to the poll and exercise your right as a United States citizen to vote for whom you feel is a good candidate of choice that will represent some of the things that you believe in. And when and if they show you differently, you go back to the polls, or you go and you start signing, get a petition together and you sign petition to get them out of office. Or you demand that they resign from their office. That is how you can come municipality failure or governmental failure. That is how you do that. Because at the end of the day, as a citizen of a state or township or county or whatever, you are the boss. You have the power to hire and fire. Okay? They don't hire themselves. You, as the citizens, hire them to do a job. And you need to hold their feet to the fire. Just because you like them, just because they look good, just because they have a great smile, because they go to church, does not mean that he or she is a good fit for that job sometimes. Just because they run on what you want to hear, but when they get in the office and they never do the things that they said that they were going to do out there on the campaign trail, then you have the power in your vote to fire them, get the hell out of the way, and let somebody else have a chance at it. And you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it until y'all get the right people in office that can better your communities, that can work with you as the citizens in those communities and areas. And that is when change will occur. That is when change for the better will occur. Not after the fact, not anything. You know, I voted for. Well, damn it. In 2022, God damn it, vote. Don't just vote in the major elections. Don't just vote in the national elections. Vote elections that mean a lot. And then you can combat failure and turn those failures around and turn them to learn from failing before, and they'll look at things a little bit closer, a little bit different, perhaps hire consultants and whatever needs to be done. But until you, as the citizen and as the voter, makes the concerted effort to go to the polls and do your job in electing these people, then countless more failures, countless more lives, and everything else will be lost. We have reached over 500,000 lives lost in a little over 12 months to this coronavirus. Why? Because we had a failing administration that failed the citizens of this great nation horribly. First, they said it wasn't true. First, they said it was going to disappear when spring came. Then they said it was a hoax. Then they said, "Oh, we don't believe in the science. You don't have to wear a mask. Don't do that. Don't do that." 500,000 people, 500,000 people have died. And if you don't think that that's real, you got a fucking serious problem. Somebody needs to commit you to the nearest institution for mental health, because your head needs to be seriously examined. You need to be on medication. And I'm time with your host. That is me. I'm going to keep it real. These are my opinions, things that I have researched, I'm sharing with you. But damn, 500,000 people in a little over 13 months. That's serious, y'all. Do you realize that is more casualties, this virus, than we had in 3 fucking wars? 3. Count it with me. 1, 2, 3. Unos, dos, tres. Un, deux, quatre. Un, deux, trois. Yeah, I'm sorry. I messed up with the French one. But that's more than 3 wars that we've had. Amount of casualties. More than 3 wars. This is nothing to play with. And we have a long road ahead of us to recover, y'all. A long road. I'm glad the vaccines are out. But they're making some people sick, y'all. But I hope that everyone does their part and continues to mask. They're asking that we double mask now because of the variants and what have you, and that it would be better. And please, y'all, just because you've taken the vaccines, the people who have so far, do not let your guard down. That does not mean that you cannot contract it, and it doesn't mean that you can't spread it. So we got a long way to go. Things are looking better. But we have a long road ahead still, y'all. We have to hold each and every one of ourselves accountable for our actions and the things that we do. Consider the next person. Consider your elderly parents if you have them still with you here on earth. Consider your elderly grandparents. Consider your elderly neighbors. Just be considerate, period, for the next human being. Wear a mask. If you're around someone, wear your fucking mask. Do the social distancing so that by December or by early spring of next year, we can at least hug somebody and have human touch again. That we can maybe go into the fucking theater and watch a goddamn movie, or go to our favorite fucking restaurant and have a fucking or a Chinese, to eat it in the parking lot, outdoors, outside somewhere. We can do this. We can do it, but we have to get on the same page and we have to work together for the common good of all of us. This is serious. It's still serious. It's serious, but y'all, it is serious. It is serious. Want to say again, I want to express my thanks to all of the people that continue to follow me, that tunes in and what have you. I want to say thank you. I also will talk about 3 more things before I close out in the next 10, 15 minutes. And one of those things being that there is a young lady by the name of, and you guys may not have known or have listened to the news lately in the last few weeks, but the young lady, the state of Ohio, and she's a mother of 2, and she left a 10-year-old and I believe a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old at a Motel 6 where she was staying and had been staying to go to work like she had been doing. Um, and where she was working was a pizza place. I think, in fact, I think it was a Little Caesars Pizza. And it's very unfortunate that do this because she had no one else. And yet she was trying to work in order to support herself and her 2 kids. And somebody, now I don't condone her leaving the kids. The 10-year-old seemed like she was pretty mature, but yet still a child, and anything could happen. Anything could go wrong, horribly wrong. But she was taking a chance, and the young lady said that she would get someone to look in on them or call them or whatever about every hour. I don't know how true that is. I did not interview her or interrogate her. But I will say that some motherfucker called in an anonymous tip on the lady who was minding somebody else's business, and perhaps, maybe, just maybe, perhaps, had they went about it a different way and maybe approached the mom and said, hey, do you mind? You don't know me. I'm a complete stranger. However, I think that you probably leave your kids in the hotel room. Do you mind if I look in on them? Or do you mind, perhaps that my church or we try to get some help for you, or maybe a babysitter, or can we, because I hate to see you leave them in the room by themselves, because anything can happen. They're little children. But you call the police. Okay. And when I say system failure, this fails as well. This is a failure also. Police comes and arrests, finds that the kids are in there. The 10-year-old tells them exactly, before they even go and interview the mother and question her, the 10-year-old tells them exactly what the mother tells them when they go across town to the pizza place to get the mom to put her under arrest. Okay. Now, these children were supposedly safe locked in the hotel room, and you take them and you place them in child protective custody. And then you call supposedly the father of the kids. Now, my thing is, this motherfucker had to have known that his kids was living out of a hotel room, a motel. Okay, well, if you're working and you can help pay for childcare, but you remove those kids from the mama, devastate the mom and the kids, and then you charge her with child abandonment and cruelty to children and all kind of craziness. Now they started a GoFundMe for her legal fees, and the GoFundMe has, the last I checked, because I donated myself. I don't donate to a lot of causes, but I donate to a fair share during the year that I feel that it's worthy of me taking a few dollars and giving to people. Now they donated to her legal fund, and it quickly reached, I think over 100,000. It may be over 2,000 now. And I'm one, she's young, and she probably had her first kid, I believe, according to the age of the young lady. I think she might have been 13 or 14. So she's had it probably rough all her life. And I can't imagine living out of a hotel room with two and then trying to sneak and go to work just to pay. And y'all know hotels or motels, they're not cheap. Even I guess the raunchiest ones trying to price gouge these days. So her whole salary is probably going for the little one room roof over their head, at the hotel. Maybe she has a few extra dollars to buy food, or maybe she's taking food from the pizza place and bringing home to feed the kids or whatever. I mean, I can't imagine that. And then she's got to sleep. She's got to be, whatever. But the system failed. And I figured, one, they had to get a social worker up out of her bed or wherever the hell he or she was to come and see kids and meet them down at the precinct or whatever to even make the decision to put the children in the custody of the father. Maybe he was unworthy. Okay. He ain't had nothing to do with them. I mean, if you know you the father or whatever, and you know your children are in that destitute of a situation, then you should have been doing something to help the mama that you laid up there with and impregnated. You should have been also contributing to the children's well-being. Now, I don't know that he wasn't, but I would shudder to think that he wasn't, because the children were staying in a Motel 6. So what they do is they arrest the woman at her job without incident. They take and give the children to the daddy, which he might have not been worthy of keeping the children. They might have gave them to him, and he might have dropped them off at his whole house or somebody or whomever, or who doesn't want the kids at all or whatever. He may turn around and beat the shit out of. Who knows? But I hope that the lesson in this is, people, if you want to get involved in some shit, you got to kind of toe the line and watch what you're doing, because it could cause total heartache. Meanwhile, on the flip side of it, sometimes you have to get involved because you think it's the right thing to do and you stand firm on it, but yet it goes horribly wrong. Even though your heart and your mind was in a good place, but yet the authorities or the authoritating agency that has to come into play makes all the wrong fucking decisions. What they could have done was, mama, we're going to have to give you this warning. We're going to have a social worker come out and going to work with you. Mama, you can't go back to work right now until you secure protection for your children, safe supervision for your children. And ask that she not lose her job for a couple of weeks until the social agency can help with a voucher or a couple of vouchers or something to help that person do what is necessary in order to keep her children safe while she still tries to work, which I admire the young lady. She was trying to work. She was trying to work. Okay? But now you pour cold water on her, give her a fucking record, have her go into court, have her perhaps almost about to lose custody of her children, period, and then putting the children perhaps in harm's way, even worse than what they were at the hotel, the motel, or whatever. Instead of the system working we're going to put you on probation, and we're going to have home checks or whatever for, you know, the next 6 months or whatever, until we feel that you, and give her some um, uh, child care classes and what have you, whatever else, so that she can learn, you know, some of the other skills that she probably needs or so desires in order to be a good parent. That doesn't make that young lady a bad parent because she chose to leave her children and go to work. It doesn't make her a bad parent. What happened is she had a choice: get put out in the streets in the bitter cold with 2 children and no place to stay and nowhere to fucking go, or take a chance, leave your kid, your youngest, with your 10-year-old, who seemed to be pretty mature, judging from the statement that she made to the officer. What's going on, Aaron? Glad you could make it. But judging from the statement that she made to the officer, um, this didn't sound like the average 10-year-old. She sounded like she was probably 13 or 14, but she was only 10. She's probably had to do a lot to help her mother out, you know, with babysitting and what have you. But the system failed this young lady. But her, last I checked again, like I said, her GoFundMe page was nearing $200,000. So hopefully someone will get together with that young lady, help her purchase a home, help her know that she has to pay the taxes on it, get herself a little car or something if she doesn't already have one, and make certain that she's able to pay for childcare and what have you, and perhaps work, get work or go to school or get a little bit better oomph under her belt. Maybe she doesn't have a high school diploma. You know, maybe she needs to get her GED or whatever. Help her, and not let someone come in on that money and use that money and balls to the wall, have a hullabaloo good time with it or whatever, and then the money's gone. She has no house, nothing. She's back to square one. You know, that needs to be done, because this woman is obvious. This young lady hasn't had the best of the best. She hasn't had much, probably. And anybody you give them that kind of money, they don't know what the fuck to do with it. And then you got motherfuckers that'll come in on them like, oh, they your good friend. And all of a sudden you got friends coming out the motherfucking woodwork. And all they're trying to do is mooch off you, trying to get a few dollars off you. Move in the house with the young lady and everything or whatever. Use her, abuse her, perhaps abuse her children or do something to them. You have to be mindful of that. So yes, the system failed. I give them a fucking F. And I give the state of Texas a fucking F. I give Louisiana a goddamn F. And I even give the state of Mississippi a fucking F. Everybody gets a fucking F for failure. The system failed. But again, before I close out, you guys, I want you to know that the way to combat system failure, from national government to state government to local municipality governments, is to fucking go to the polls and exercise your right to vote, and vote in the people who can do the job or who want to do the job, and not Ted Cruz's of the world who just show up and make everything about them, like the Donald Trumps of the world show up and make everything about them, toss a fucking roll of paper towels at somebody like he's playing in motherfucking Little League football or something. Ted Cruz is in the middle of an abandoned parking lot with hardly anybody around, and he seen the camera got a goddamn putting a 6-pack of water in somebody's fucking car. That you staged that. That was staged. Photo of family, and left the goddamn dog to fend for itself after you carried your funky ass down there to Mexico. What should have happened is, you see, Mexico, let me tell y'all something. No, bitch, you wanted the wall built on us and everything? Get your ass back to Texas. Carry your ass back. They should have stopped that hoe at the fucking international airport, wherever he landed in Cancun. I've been to Cancun, been to Carlos and Charlie's, been to Senor Frogs many times. Had me a hullabaloo good time. From cruising to flying down there to the Salmons Resort. Had me a good time. And I plan on going again. But you see, people like that, they should have turned that bitch around at the fucking gate of the airport as soon as he stepped off the plane. Oh, senor. No, senor. No, 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 no. Can't come on. Can't come. Wall. We built wall for you. Turn that ass around. But this is the Ted Cruz's and the kind of stupid shit that they do. Meanwhile, while citizens have froze and perished because they don't smell too killed them, woke up dead. But the way to combat system failures, to combat municipality failures in the local government, is going to the polls and voting for the right person that can do the job. When you find not help the citizenry to become better citizens and to make their communities, your communities better, get their asses out, fire them. We have the power in our votes to hire and fucking fire. They don't work for themselves, they work for us. That's all I'm gonna say, y'all. Well, it's been good, it's been great. You know, each one save one, the world will be a better place. Someone out here needs to hear the words, I love you. Please, if you know anyone or if you're feeling some kind of way, please reach out to the suicide prevention hotline, because suicide, y'all, is running rampant. If you have a loved one, a family member, a friend, or a coworker that's going through something, please don't take it for granted. Try to get them the necessary help that they need. Reach out to them. Give them the suit or whatever it is you need. Just know that trouble does not last always, and everything has a beginning and an end. I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. Please remember to stay safe, and please remember to be considerate of the next person. Mask up, practice the social distancing. Please, please wash your hands, you know, and just be a good common good. And sooner or later, we will all be okay and come out of this coronavirus pandemic. But until then, y'all, I wish you all success in this year that we're in. And I wish you all safety and health. And please, please do the right thing. Wear a mask. We can get through this together. Bye now.